The Illinois legislature makes their move to keep the Chicago Bears from going across state lines. Tonight, Pat Quinn gets to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Taman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. We start with breaking news. New details tonight about what exactly Illinois lawmakers will offer the Chicago Bears to stop them from moving out of the state. Just filed in Springfield minutes ago is a much anticipated bill that the team has been hammering out with State House negotiators behind closed doors. The bill would allow for a property tax assessment freeze for 20 years for mega projects like a new stadium. The team would make what lawmakers are calling a special payment to the local government. There are more incentives for any project with an initial $2 billion investment. That's the magic number the Chicago Bears have said they're willing to chip in. And we'll bring you more details as we continue to read the bill. We're going through it as we come on the air. Meantime, in Indiana, lawmakers are close to sending their plan to Governor Mike Braun's desk. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., a legislative committee in Springfield is set to discuss the Illinois bill that we just mentioned and we continue to comb through tonight. All right, joining us is former Governor Pat Quinn. He wants to give fans a voice in the process that's now being dominated by the team and these two state legislatures. You guessed it, he started a petition drive to let fans sign onto a document calling for the team to remain the pride and joy of Illinois. It is beardownforillinois.com. Governor Quinn, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to see you, Tom. You're very fine. And beardownforillinois.com is our petition. It's a website. It's online. And the whole idea is to make sure the fans have a way to speak. And, you just said we're the pride and joy of Illinois. That's in the song. All Bears fans know that song. And I think it's important that we remind the owners to stay in Illinois.
Well, so the Indiana Senate is scheduled to have a final vote on their legislation, $2 billion that would go to the stadium project, with the Bears offering up $1 billion. But based on what we've heard, and I know you've talked to lawmakers in Springfield today, who has the better deal right now? And obviously you're going to...
Yeah, obviously Illinois. We have the land already. The Bears bought it. They want to go to Arlington Heights. It's near the airport, O'Hare Airport. It's got a Metro train station. They're going to need to have some infrastructure and roads and bridges to build there. But we don't want the taxpayers of Illinois actually paying for the stadium. That belongs to the Bears, their responsibility to build the stadium. And I think that's the right way to go. We can do a lot of good things to create good things for fans and for the taxpayers, economic growth and so on. But Indiana, I saw the governor, heard the governor on the radio last week. He was telling us Bears Illinois fans to be prepared to be miserable. Well, we're not going to be miserable. Spare the misery. We're not going to have the Chicago Bears become the Hammond Hoosiers. It's the Chicago Bears now and forever.
So this property tax break, where we're talking about 20 years of freezing what the assessment is, similar to the United Center and what Jerry Reinsdorf got back when that was built during the Bulls dynasty. Is that a fair break for tax? I mean, that's a lot of missing revenue coming in at a time where the state needs money.
Well, it's money that goes to local governments. And what they did with the United Center, which when it was proposed, it was an area that needed development, no doubt about it. And so they gave them a 20-year property tax freeze at their current assessment. And then once that period expired, it was when I was governor, then they had to pay their regular property taxes. So sometimes you need an incentive to get something started, but it shouldn't last forever.
Can we talk a little bit about the Cook County tax structure? Because if the Bears built in Arlington Heights without these changes, they would face, by some estimates, a $210 million property tax bill annually. That's like 20 times more than a comparable stadium built elsewhere. Are we losing business in Illinois because of that tax structure like that?
Well, I think in general, the Illinois property tax system needs total reform for everybody, not just for businesses, but especially for homeowners. The latest property tax bills people got in Cook County are really clobbering people, families and businesses. So I believe in a millionaire amendment that we could use in Illinois to give property tax relief to everybody, $4.5 billion. It'd be the biggest property tax relief measure in Illinois history. But that's something that maybe can happen in this session to go on the ballot so the taxpayers themselves at the ballot box by referendum can reform a system that's out of control.
And there's been an update to that committee meeting. It's now going to be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So it looks like the lawmakers need more time. That's how Springfield is. They just change it as they want.
I've been there. Yeah.
I know that you have. Speaking of having been there, Governor Pritzker, what's your assessment of how he's handled all of this? I mean, he's been pretty firm from the beginning. No taxpayer money to the Bears to build the stadium. The Illinois Sports Facilities Authority, it was talked about in the beginning, but that's not the vehicle for this. Well, how do you think the governor has handled all this?
I think he's done fine, and I think it's important to stand strong for Illinois taxpayers, but also strong for the Bears. Those of us who have been Bears fans since birth, we understand how important the team is to the whole psychology of Illinois. Look at what happened last year with the team and those fourth quarter comebacks. You know, this is great for the season. In our website, we have the Bear Down Chicago Bears fight song led by George Wendt, the late, great George Wendt. And when you see all the people joining with him singing, you know that this is a thing, a cause that ties people together. So we got to be fair to taxpayers, number one, but we also want to make sure we keep our team where it belongs in the state of Illinois. George Halas, I was next to the Halas statue today at Soldier Field. George Halas was the founder of the team. He was the coach of the team. He played for the team, and he wanted to be in Illinois. That's why he wrote the song Pride and Joy of Illinois.
You know that I have to work at the White Sox because I'm curious if you think the Bears' threat to leave to Indiana is as real as Jerry Reinsdorf's promise to move the Sox to Florida back in the late 80s.
Well, number one, it's Jerry Reinsdorf's birthday today, so happy B-Day.
Birthday. Yeah.
They got their stadium. They got a very good deal. That was long before I was down in Springfield, but I think
do you believe, though, that the Bears, they're doing the site assessment in Hammond? How real is that?
I think that they're trying to leverage whatever they can to get the best deal for the owners. But I think the owners have to be loyal to the fans. The fans have been loyal to the Bears, even in times where we didn't win a lot of games. So it's super important for people in charge of an $8.9 billion franchise. It's a lot of money to remember those little people who come to the games, oftentimes very cold at the games, but they cheer with their strongest lungs. And I think that is super important in this decision, that the Bears have to choose Illinois, choose where they want to go. They bought the land. Okay, you can build your own stadium with your own money. Things around it, well, we can work on that.
I got about 15 seconds. What does Chicago get in the end?
Well, I think we got to deal with the fact that about $534 million is still owed on the remodeling of Soldier Field. And I think it's important that we find ways to help where I live, city of Chicago, make sure they come out square.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep you here. I don't even think you know that because you're a late arriving guest. But we're back with more with the former governor in 60 seconds.
Message.
A new poll out today in the Democratic race for U.S. Senate shows Juliana Stratton might be catching up to Raja Krishnamoorthi. And Politico reports a crypto super PAC is going after Stratton. We are back with former Governor Pat Quinn, and we want to shift gears, talk a little bit about the March primary, less than 3 weeks away now. What do you make of that contest? Raja Krishnamoorthi had a lot of money and was on the air early, and now Stratton maybe has some momentum?
Well, I think it's good to have a good contest on issues, hopefully, not name-calling. Some of the spots lately, the commercials have been kind of negative, but I think each of the candidates to win have to have a positive message. And it's all three of the candidates who are the leaders right now. I think it'll be 3 weeks of real good competition that is good for Illinois.
Congresswoman Robin Kelly, the other top Democrat in the race. How difficult is it as lieutenant governor to break free and do the voters know you, or do they really know the gut? Like, it's been difficult for Stratton sort of going around and separating herself from Pritzker.
Yeah, I did a lot of things before I was a lieutenant governor. We did a lot of petition drives and set up the Citizen Utility Board. So people knew my name, I think, pretty well. With Juliana, she's had to establish some of her achievements, so people get to know that. But same same way with Robin Kelly. I worked with her quite a bit on making sure that we take care of housing in the South Suburban Airport. And Raja, he was he wasn't a congressman when I was governor, but he was always active in politics. So I think it's healthy. The more people that really compete in these last 3 weeks, this is where the election is won. You got to be a good closer. And so I'd say to each of them, look straight at the camera. Don't be yelling about your opponent, and tell the people why you want to be U.S. Senator in straightforward language.
Former Governor Pat Quinn, see you at the ballpark.
Okay.
Sox Park, of course. And tonight, we tip our hat to Mayor Brandon Johnson, bird guy.
Believe it or not, we are the proud home of birds, and my son is leaving for college in a few months, and so we might be coming to visit you. No, I'm teasing. We're not we're not going. I mean, he didn't think about that when he wanted those birds, and so now we're going to adopt my son's birds, and we're just going to cut the middle person out. There's been some discussion about a dog in my family, and I gave them a very clear parameters. I said, if we get a dog, I get to name it, and the name that I provided, they didn't approve of it.
While announcing the appointment of a new director of Chicago Animal Care and Control, the mayor was asked if he had any pets at home. It turns out there were a few birds in the Johnson household, and if you have any thoughts on that, go ahead and tweet us. The Forecasters is next on WGN+. Mike is back with more news tonight at 9. I'm Tamon Bradley. Good night.